Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Hope you guys are doing well wherever you are in the world. I want to talk about a bunch of things today, and the list is evil people, betrayals, the love of God and being truthful even when it hurts, and I guess I'll talk about what I presume to be a vision of my own, which I've only brought up a few times. And the only reason I bring this up is because you can choose to believe it or not. You've heard this before, and I'll also talk about, the reason I decided to bring this up is because of a story of a pastor's dream. You may have heard this before. I feel naked, man, without my glasses. I'm not even kidding you. Like, I feel blind. I use it so much for reading that it just doesn't feel right. A pastor's dream that he had. This is amazing, and this is the reason I decided to include this in today's video. Because when I listen to when you start to listen to people's, I had a dream, the Lord said to me, all those types of things. These days, like John warned us that many Antichrists will come into this world, many false prophets. It's so hard, like, do I listen to this? I tend not to listen to people's visions. I don't. Because I know the heart of man. I know the heart of man, right? It's too bad about that too, and I wonder. There's a lot of people who are saying, I had a vision, I went to hell, I went to heaven, and the Lord really never said, really never showed. It's just, I don't understand the darkness of people's hearts, that they would go and do that. And man, I know a lot of people really are getting dreams and they're getting visions. How am I any different? Well, you'll see. You'll see. Unless you've heard this already. But I'm not gonna start out with that first. So, and before I start any of these topics, I want to I'd really like to, even though I'm not reading the comment sections anymore, and it doesn't mean that I don't love and care about you guys, okay? It's for my own mental health. I don't like it anymore. And it's not just that, it's with all YouTube comments. I'll probably come back and look at it after a while, but anyways, guys, I love you, and that I'll see you. And I left the comment section open for you guys to say whatever you want, but in any case, like, there's a lot of, I don't need that kind of stress. I just don't need that kind of stress because, man, I'm studying up to 8 hours a day. I don't need anything on top of that. And I just want to, God is always on my mind. Always. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. Yeah, I wanted to say this, just the state of the world, the things that are happening. Vladimir Putin meeting Trump, and did you hear what Donald Trump said? For those who believe that he really is the Antichrist, he's doing everything the Antichrist is supposed to do. He's got the attributes and everything, and I'm not going to get into that, but I don't know if it was that meeting, but it was in the last few days. I saw this on Sling and Stone, where he goes, he's boasting about himself in the first 6 months and the things that he's done. And then he goes, and then it'll be another 6 months, and another 6 months, and another 6 months. That's what they do in movies and shows where they, they do little subliminal messages to show you who they really are. So you might want to look for that if you're interested in that. So he did do that. Just go look on Sling and Stone and look on, he doesn't believe he's the Antichrist, and anyways, I sent him a long message, and that was probably one of the last messages that I'm sending on YouTube, but So you say, why are you so sensitive about that? And I think it's about staying out of the world, okay? And this channel isn't the world, and that channel isn't the world, even though there's some worldly stuff on there. But I don't know, it's just for my own mental health, man. Evil people. Oh no, I wanted to say this first. I get kind of confused about the book of Revelation, and you know how it says it's going to scorch the earth with fire and this stuff, and to look on the earth right now, I know that's not it, but it makes me think. It makes me think. Listen to this. Ontario, Canada is on fire. Like, what, 700,000 acres. You know how big that is? That's a mega fire. That's like 3-4 times the size of California, what they call a mega fire. And that's just Ontario. Quebec, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. I don't know about PEI or Newfoundland. BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. Portugal, Spain, France. This is like the whole Europe, man. And other places, the States, and it just gets worse as it goes along. It gets worse and worse and worse. Put in the comment section what you think this is. I believe I know how they all started. And now that there's, like, what is it today? 62? That's not what it said this morning, man. It said 80 degrees. Well, that's good. But every day has been, yesterday was 105 Fahrenheit here. This is a place where people go skiing and snow trekking, and there's huge forests around here, and you know, the most temperate climate on earth, one of them certainly. You know, one day could be plus 20 Celsius, and the next day could be minus 20, and that could happen very quickly. So for it to be, man, the earth is burning, and all the natural disasters in terms of volcanoes and all that. In any case, let me pace here for a second. I'm going to talk about evil people, and I bet some of you will concur with me about this, and I talk about this often with God. Just give me a sec, get out of the picture. You know, I like to make a video every day. I do. Just like a godly video. I just haven't been able to think of things in the last while because I've been so busy with, like, imagine I'm studying at 2 schools, man, at once. So trying to balance that with, man, I got to take care of my body, get all my supplements, do my workouts, shower, shave, leave my house, pay my bills, go do volunteer, go do also my own work. It's a lot of stuff, but I have a lot of trouble with my throat, in case you didn't know. I have a very tight esophageal sphincter. Just give me a second. Swallowing difficulties, and it can come out also as a lot of spasms and stuff. So evil people. I identify with the biblical character of David more than anyone in the Bible. I identify with David. Why? For many different reasons, and I'm not saying I'm as good as David was. We both had our troubles. I identify with his issues with lust. But it was the number of battles that David went through. And if you know my story, you know I've been through a lot of different battles. And to finally come into some peace with God, even though, as you can see me squirming in these videos in pain, even though I suffer with those, now I know the love of God, and that's what matters in this life. And it makes me think of Psalm 23. And I thank a brother for his own memorization of this, because I decided to memorize it too. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to... Sorry, there's a bug in my face here. Just like a little black fly. He maketh me to lie in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley in the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. For thy rod and thy staff are with thee. They comfort me. You prepare a table in front of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely the goodness of the Lord shall follow me for the rest of my days, and I shall dwell forever in the house of the Lord. I may get a few of those words wrong, but that's pretty much what it is. So it's all the different battles that he dealt with, but not only that, but betrayal. I don't want to be a believer who hates in his heart. And I'll tell you something, since I've moved into this place, it's been a long journey. Not to say that I hated people, but I had a lot of my own unresolved trauma. And, you know, we all blame someone. We all hate someone for things that have happened in our life, you know, or we dislike and this type of stuff. This isn't the way that Jesus or the way that John the Apostle, because John the Apostle, as those apostles were all different. They were all different personalities. And that's probably why God chose each one of them to display in the scriptures. And John was about love, right? About the nature of God. And that's what you and I should try to strive for. And I know it could be tough for me, when I suffer with intractable pain. It's difficult, you know. But I say pray for your enemies, you know. Like, what? People are trying to do bad stuff to you, pray for them. Love your enemies and pray for them. I still haven't looked this up to see. I know there are discrepancies in the Bible that can always be. There's always an answer to what people think it's a discrepancy. I just haven't looked this one up yet. The one where John says, but I don't think you should pray about that, right? I forget who he's pertaining to exactly. Someone who's doing something wrong. But Jesus said to love our enemies and to pray for them. Man, that means we have to learn the attributes of God, how beautiful he is, how forgiving he is, how much he wants the good for us. He chastises us for our good, right? And those are a lot of battles in itself, you know, where people talk about their wilderness season or whatever they call it. Coming to the knowledge of the truth of God and knowing who God is and his attributes. I think that's the most beautiful place you could ever bring yourself to. But let's talk about betrayal for a second. I'm trying to deal with this pain in my abdomen, guys. I have to pace. Give me a second. Let's talk about betrayal. when I do videos, they are much better after this. See, I do a workout, make my food, do other things, do my work. When I get my endorphins rushing, then I come back, my videos tend to be a lot better. I don't really get an endorphin rush from doing a physical workout, but walking I certainly do. So betrayal. Each to their own, but I don't know about your own life. I think it's a common thing throughout believers. People who are truly saved have been betrayed many times. And listen, this also depends on your own boundaries, your own personality. For me, I was a polysubstance abuser, so I put myself in places, didn't have, gave people the benefit of the doubt a lot, forgave a lot, where I probably shouldn't have in the way that I did, but forgiveness, we should always do that. This is before I was truly, truly saved. I never understood. Okay, I have autism, and that does matter to what I'm saying right now. It does, and it doesn't, because I'm still just a human being. I'm very functional. Your own friends betraying you. So I've had this happen on a number of occasions. I can think of four major occasions where my friends did something to me for absolutely no reason, for nothing that I caused, nothing that I did, and I forgave them every time. I just don't I never understood in my life. I'm the type of person who will go out of my way to make sure I don't fall into ever that type of pattern. Why would I betray you? That's just not my blood, man. I'll never do that. And if I've done something like that, it was probably because I was blacked out, because I was drunk, and it really didn't mean anything. But otherwise, no. What I just talked about was my youth. Some pretty big betrayals, man. How about now? Have you had a person, even in your own family, stop talking to you for no reason, even though you're a good person who loves God, and maybe that's one of the reasons? Someone in your family just stops talking to you for no reason. You didn't do a thing. Or it could be a longtime friend, just disappears off the map for no reason. And I believe in my heart those types of things are probably also sanctioned by God, because they probably weren't good for you in the first place. So those things that have happened to me, and they were without a cause. I just never understood it. And for any of you to think that you're 40 and up, that you have a lifelong friend that wouldn't do that to you, think again. They will. It does happen. I'm not saying be careful of that type of stuff, but it does happen, and it does happen when you start speaking out about God, especially when you start doing that. It's not nice to feel betrayal, but I think that one of the good things that comes out of it is that you learn to depend on God. Learn to depend on God. And a lot of the stuff I'm studying, a lot of stuff that I'm teaching people, yes, I'm teaching people about certain things, is to develop your boundaries. Don't let people cross your boundaries. Don't let people put all the necessary boundaries up so you don't get hurt. But not that you lose heart. Because that's the worst thing that can happen. That you start to harden your heart to everything, right? Let me get out of the picture again. Betrayal. It's one of the worst things. One of the worst feelings. But once it's over and you develop your boundaries, you be very careful who you let into your life. Can two walk together and not agree? So I'm actually kind of happy that some things happened in my life, because I will never let those people in again. They will never get in that door. You know, if they came back begging and were truly repentant for what they had done, you have to have good discernment on what you would do then. And man, I'm not talking about narcissistic people who want to hurt you. That's a whole nother category, right? Anyone who wants to hurt you, do not let them back into your life, ever. You know, it can really hurt deeply when those closest to you betray you. They betray your trust. You knew them for decades, and they just said, I'm not talking to you anymore. Okay. We know what's coming. We know what's already here. Trying to think of what I want to say here. Just think about it. This is another reason that I identify with David, and you know, and because I killed someone too. But no, I'm just kidding. He was forgiven for that. He didn't do it. He didn't do it directly himself. It was indirect by command to, what was it, Abner? But he still did it. It's my abdomen, man. It's really, really getting me because of all the different work and school that I'm doing. Yeah, this is what I identify with David. Another thing. What are we? What are you and I that God would be so good to us? How is it that God minds us? We were the dust and clay of the earth. Right? That's all we were. We were just dust. But he made something out of it, and it makes me think, like, you know, I could have clay in my hand. Go grab some clay, make some figurines, and if for some reason I could make them come to life, what are they that I am mindful of them, to take care of them? And no, I cannot quantify God like that, but I have to give you an example. He made us come alive. He made us come alive, and his infinite knowledge, wisdom, he can do anything. He can make anything happen. There's nothing that you can think of that God cannot do. And you can't quantify that, because there's new elements God could make. Things we've never seen, He made light, he made water, he could make other things like that we've never heard of. So we cannot quantify God, but there is no calculation of how powerful he is, that he would mind a human being that within 30 years or 35, maybe 40 years is going to die and go back to the dust. what are we that he loves us and cares about us? It's because we are the image of God. And many of us, he knew from the foundations of the world. He knew us. Why do I say that? Because I do believe certainly that there are people that God, just like Jeremiah, you know what I'm thinking about. Before you were in the womb, I knew you. Before you were in the womb, I sanctified you. I believe he did that with a lot of us, but I also believe, people get saved at their very last breath, the very last weeks and months and year. It is clear to me that there is a choice as well, but what I don't understand is evil. The evilness of this earth. I don't, that may sound like a resounding gong, but as Paul says in Corinthians, I just don't understand the actions of evil people. Our earth has become like in Genesis, at the beginning of Genesis, that it grieved God's heart that he made them, that he had to flood the earth. This is what it's become. People's hearts have become rotten. So people say, why does God let a genocide happen? Why does he tell his people to take out the women, take out the children, even kill their animals and all those things? I don't know about the animals. Who knows? Maybe they're infected with spirits from those people. But as you said to Jeremiah, look at the figs. What are those, Jeremiah? One fig is really good and one fig is really bad. And what do you have to do when something becomes so rotten to its core? God is going to bring fire or water against it. He's just take people out. Because if you have a society filled with absolute evil people that will never repent, that's why the book of Revelation says, but they still don't repent. Even though they're being hit with the worst heat on earth, they're not stopping, dropping to their knees and saying, God, please help and stop this. I gotta pace again, guys. Pretty bad day for me here. For my abdomen. It's the splenic flexure thing, man. It's just like it's so hard up in in any case. Feels really, really intense. I just don't understand the motives of evil people. And I think David really went deep in the Psalms and explained how much he hated the wicked. And actually David was saying to God to take them out and kill them. Go read all the Psalms, let them see backwards forever, and let their table be a snare. I just don't understand. Can you believe it's become so evil that they're talking of taking our free will from us? And look at the UK, man. Have you seen what's going on there? It's like they're trying to bring in the social credit system. If you look very closely at China and you look at the UK and you see it's like, snitch on your neighbor type thing now. I saw something yesterday, this is true, that they're trying to bring in a law and they're already bringing the police to people's places for whistling at women. I don't know, really punitive stuff, and I don't know. Will it turn out that way? Will all of the earth turn that way? It'll be like a China social credit system. And remember this, that many of our brothers and sisters are living in that social credit system. And their scores are probably pretty low. And they have snitches too. And those snitches have really high credit scores. I watched a documentary on a woman who does snitch on people and tries to be a government example. Because they'll stop you from traveling, they'll stop you from doing this and that if you break and you go over your limits of certain things. Guys, I don't know if I can. I'm really having a difficult time because of my abdomen, and I wanted to get to the dream part, but maybe I'll take a rest in my esophagus. That's what's bothering me in my abdomen, and I'll take a break of about a minute, and then I'll do my best to explain this. I'll go quickly over my own vision, and then I'll go over this guy's dream, but I'm going to leave a link so you guys can actually watch it. And stick with it, because it gets better as it goes and goes and goes along with this man. His name is Carl. I forget his last name, but in any case. Sometimes this is worse at this time of day than others. I eat in the morning, and right after I eat, I do a workout. When I'm done a workout, I make my food, I have my shower, come out, and the problem I have is called the splenic flexure syndrome. It's sticking so hard into the splenic, like your colon goes across, right? Your transverse colon. I have a disorder caused probably by surgeries, but my adhesions, that it takes a sharp turn upward. So in your splenic flexure, it just means the flexure where it turns. It doesn't have a sharp turn, but it kind of goes up a bit and then down. Mine goes straight up. It goes right up into the ribs. So when it gets caught up, you feel intense, you talk intense. But it can get better as the day goes along, as it does. And after I make a video and I stop, man, it can be very tough to recover. So sitting here and talking for 33 minutes, as it's 33 minutes right now so far, the longer it goes, the worse it can become. So I'll just talk about my own vision very quickly. I was having my esophageal sphincter checked out. Okay, so I believed it was possibly achalasia, and it turned out it wasn't that, but that my lower esophageal sphincter, as you see my swallowing problems and stuff, it turned out that the tightness of it, and so I had a measurement done. I had 2 tests done. I had an endoscope. This is pertaining to this. I had an endoscope. They wanted to look first, and that test didn't turn out. But then, because I had to look at there first and then do another test, and the second test showed that it was as tight as achalasia. But this was just an endoscope. They put a camera down, that goes down your esophagus and looks at the sphincter area, goes in your stomach, all those types of things. And they put you under, partially under. You're out, but it's only for like 5 or 10 minutes. So they give you whatever it is, a small amount of propofol, fentanyl, some benzos in there, and it puts you out. I did not expect what happened. I did not expect this. In fact, I'm going to leave the dream for you guys to see by yourself, but I'm asking you to go look at it, because I can only explain this one because I don't feel well enough today. Not that my day won't get better, but this wasn't a dream. It was not a dream. I've never had anything like this in my life except for sleep paralysis. This was not sleep paralysis. Suddenly I found myself in a room, and it was like half dark, maybe a little more than half dark. And I suppose I was sitting down, but it was as if I was looking a little bit above me sitting down. I could see what was happening. I was sitting there at a desk. In front of, was I sitting at a desk? I believe I was sitting at a desk. It's hard to tell now. I may have been, because I may be getting it mixed up with theirs, but I think it's possible. In any case, in front of me, about 5 to 7 feet in front of me, there were 3 desks. And at these desks were these, I don't know what they are. I can't explain what they are. They were like creatures. 3 of them, not 4 of them like in the book of Revelation. And whatever these things were, maybe because I'm not able to describe them, they were just like the size of a human. They were no bigger than the size of a human, sitting at desks, and there was a feeling of like ESP, like being able to know each other's thoughts. And between us was like an energy. They knew, they loved me, and I loved them back. And I had no evil intent towards them, and they had no evil intent towards me. We understood each other, and it was ecstasy. And you're going to say, well, it's just the fentanyl that you're, okay, maybe. But it pertains to everything my life is about God, it was very specific. It was like there was just an understanding between us of pure love, pure understanding. I'm not going to hurt you, you're not going to hurt me. And it made me realize that this could be what heaven feels like. And that's all it was. I don't know how long I was in it. It didn't feel like long, but when I woke up, I had tears in my eyes. And when the attendant came to me, I felt so convicted about it, I told them about it. And then I kept my mouth shut for quite some time. I didn't talk about it. I didn't tell people about it, but I never forgot it. It was just a feeling of pure love towards whatever those things were, 3 of them. And I believe that'll be a similar thing. I think of, can you imagine when that day comes? Can you imagine that we're raptured and we go to a place, we just suddenly end up at this place, this strange place, the millennial kingdom. And it doesn't, you're going to say it's the earth, or he's going to take us up to heaven while there's wrath, whatever, I don't care. Those are the kind of not debates, but things I just like, whatever it is. Can you imagine that God, when we are raptured and we are brought either to heaven or back to this earth for the millennial kingdom, imagine that he puts us in, say, like a forest, and it's a mile walk in a beautiful rainforest. and we're walking with other believers because we've just been raptured. We realize that it's coming and that it's just at the other end of this forest. Can you imagine walking together and walking towards the millennial kingdom? Can you imagine the things you'd be saying to each other, the thoughts in your head? Like, this is it. Yeah, apologies. I do apologize. I want to make a video, and sometimes I'm just really sick at that time. That's today. And it has a lot to do with being sitting still in the picture, time of day. It's much better after, but yeah. And I explain these things to you guys because I'm not just going to look really uncomfortable and say nothing, but keep looking at the times, keep looking at everything that's going on. Don't harden your heart, as God says. Do not harden your heart. And though wicked people may be upon you and trying to hurt you and betray you and do those types of things, keep those boundaries up and keep praying.